All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Leadership Mastermind podcast. I am your host, Mitch Peak, and this is my co host, Laura Brandeo. How are you doing today, Laura?
I am doing wonderful, Mitch, and I am so excited for our lovely guest today. So allow me to introduce everyone to Anna Maria Sanin. She is the Confident Executive Officer at Confident Closers. She is a two-time Women with Vision award winner, and she joins me on the board of directors of Women with Vision. Her goal is to assist women to build a personal brand, to establish influence, and attract more opportunities to their life and business. Her mission is to lower the number of women who reach the end of their lives regretting the things they never did because of fear or lack of courage. She focuses on assisting women entrepreneurs in the mortgage and real estate space to build a personal brand identity, a development and a growth plan by creating the brand identity and launching it, storytelling and marketing. She also holds the title of brand coach for all the students of 2020 Vision Your Success Coaching. Anna Maria, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Mitch. It's really awesome to be here.
Yes.
It was an
Welcome to
honor
the
that you guys
show.
invited me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. And I just want to, kind of jump right in for the audience and ask you, what are your three key pillars to leadership?
That is a great question. I would say number one, lead by example. I think that is crucial. Number two, definitely, stand and lead by your values, by your core values, right? We talk a lot about culture and values, but it is so important when we really understand the meaning of culture and being able to pass on the values that we stand on, that we stand for, for the rest of our team. And number three, I would say consistency and results. I think that it's crucial, not only for our clients on the other end, but for our team. We all need consistency, and that's the only way we can get results. So.
Wow, that's great. And I'm going to take the number two one that you mentioned about the core values. Okay. So standing by your core values, let's start with number one. How do you determine what your core values are? And is it something that you actually need to take a moment and evaluate what they are? And do you recommend that as an organization or any group that you're working with, do you actually share your core values with them?
That is a great question, Laura. And so to answer the first part of your question, how do you come up with your core values? Or if I'm correct, right? I think that's what you asked.
Yep.
So, first of all, it's part of developing the identity of your brand. It's part of developing, really getting a full understanding of, first of all, you as a human being, what you stand for, and then what the kind of culture that you want to build around your business. So as an individual, right, and business owners, even though, it's two different, and I don't think they're two different things. Our core values as an individual will continue to pass on to our business because it's who we are. And as business owners or as entrepreneurs, it's really important to stay authentic. Right? Authenticity. And so how do we stay authentic? Well, let's identify what you stand by. What do you believe on? And be able to answer your question number two and be able to translate and pass that on to the rest of your team. Because it's really the only way to keep a clean environment and culture and to be able to attract like-minded people. So yes, you definitely need to be able to pass on those values to those who not only come work with you, but also to your clients, right? And so, yeah, they are part of your brand. They are part of who you are and the service that you offer.
So to that point, what do you do when you come across someone you work with as an employee or as a client that maybe doesn't match up with your core values? Is it something that you try to work around, or is it something, I hear a lot of people say, fire the client, it feels great. Like, what is your take on that?
Well, I think that, every case it's unique. However, I do believe that communication is key. And so, let's, as far as an employee, well, if you have an employee, obviously, that the first thing you should do when you hire somebody, right, is first of all, make sure that, there is a connection, that there is a similarity, or at least that there's a respect for what you stand for, right? So if we find ourselves in a position where, okay, we thought, this person understood and respected our core values, I always believe that there should be that communication to go back, right, to what was discussed at first, right, and to see where the disconnect is with that employee. And same thing with, now with a client, it's a little bit different, but that's why it's also so important to understand your brand, your core values, how you want to do business, right? What kind of people you want to attract to you. And if for XYZ reason, we end up attracting somebody, let's always keep in mind, the importance of having that that connection, right? Let's not get desperate and look at those dollar signs, right? Let's really get authentic and real with ourselves, whether this is somebody who we're going to want to work with. And if we find ourselves in that situation, we've already accepted this person, we're working with them, and we're like, oh my gosh, why did I even end up taking on this client? I still believe that we have the responsibility to deliver, right, what was that we promised to give, and then in a very nice way, obviously just part ways and then know better. And if for whatever reason this person wants to come back to you, be honest with yourself and then say, hey, I think that I have a better fit for you. This person will work best with you than they can give you more than I can, right? And so communication, I don't think, yes, as we definitely have the power to just say goodbye, I don't want this client, when you're on your own. But I don't think that that's the right way to go about it either, because I believe we're also, at one point, we're going to be the ones sitting on that other side of the seat, of the table. And
Right.
so communication.
And that is great advice. And I can tell you, I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation where maybe you partnered someone with a sales team member that maybe their personalities weren't a good fit, right? Sometimes people are different personalities and different approaches and communication style. And sometimes you have to make a change and have a better fit. And I've also had situations where clients were a bit abrupt or spoke in a very negative way to a team member, and you do have to jump in, and you do have, because that goes back to that core values, right? You have to show your team that it's not acceptable for someone to speak in that tone or approach things in that way. And sometimes it can be corrected with a communication, and sometimes you do have to make a decision to end it. But I think that shows great leadership, to your point, that you do have to have those core values, because if we as leaders say, here's our core values, and then something happens from a client and you don't step in to make a decision and have that communication, well, then you're not living up to that. And I think that goes into consistency. Yes. So now speak about consistency.
Well, yes. So consistency, like you're saying, right? Same thing. We lead by example. And so as we are clear with what we believe, the kind of environment we want to build, the workspace and environment that we want to have, not only for those who are working alongside with us, but ourselves, and to attract those kind of clients, we must be consistent. And I know that we hear consistency a lot, especially in our industry, right? Like sales, everything that we do, but it's so true in every single aspect. We must be consistent, not only to lead by example, but also to see results, right? And so consistency with your core values, consistency with the kind of leadership, right, that we give our team. I don't know how much more I can say about consistency, but consistency is key to seeing any result for that matter. And we can take that word to anything. I mean, we can use it in the kitchen, in business, and anywhere. Consistency is key to see results. And it's really hard for us as human beings because we're used to that instant gratification, right? And so we do something once or twice and it's like, oh, I want to see results. But consistency, it's part of, you keep doing it, you're patient, you're consistent with your beliefs, you're consistent with your process, you're consistent with your communication, and that in itself will make everybody else around you consistent with the environment that you are presenting. So I don't know, you want to add more to consistency?
Well, that's a good point because Laura and I were just talking before
we
the
were
show.
just having this conversation, Anna Maria. So go, Mitch.
Yeah, we were just having this conversation why people don't push forward, more. And like you said, it's instant gratification. One or two times they go to the gym January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, and they're not seeing results and they give up. So Laura and I are trying to find out why is it that only probably 5% of business, owners or loan officers or real estate agents actually go through with trainings, go through with processes that are delivered to them to find those results.
And that is, I love that we're talking about this. And I'm just going to bring something completely, I mean, it's off the topic, but it applies to it. So Orange Theory, have you guys heard of Orange Theory?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
yeah, West Coast. I see that on the West Coast.
So here's the key marketing strategy to Orange Theory and why people are willing to pay the $160 and the $170 a month unlimited, where you're not having private training really, but it's that instant gratification. You're wearing a monitor, right? And so this monitor allows you immediately when you're done with class to know how many calories you burn, to know how many steps you've done, to know your heart, and so if you get yourself from a green to orange to red, and it is that instant gratification that Orange Theory gives to people and is why they continue to go through it, because they're getting results immediately. Even if they're not seeing it in their body, they're seeing it on the monitor. And so and that's what, and if we don't have, and so for any marketing, anybody, we are humans, we want instant gratification for everything. And if we can find the key to be able to, or find the strategy to be able to provide results, even if it's not actual tangible results, but a way to get ahead. And I love how actually Christine does this very well as well, with the 2020 coaching vision for your success. There is that instant, you get a certificate. So you finish a class, there's a certificate. There is that feeling of, I got it done. Right. It's that instant gratification. And so I love that. I was thinking of Orange Theory because I was part of Orange Theory, but same thing applies to Christine's coaching. And so
I think we've all been conditioned for this, right?
Yeah.
Like over the years, right? With social media and with other things, with Amazon, right? With Amazon, we click the button, we know that it's on its way, ding, it's arrived, right? So our brains, and as humans, we've been conditioned to that. So let's keep on this path, okay? So you are an expert at branding and marketing. So tell us one thing I want to know before we go too deep is, what was that pivotal moment where you decided to go off on your own and start your company now? So I want to go there. That's very important because, again, with taking action, everyone has the ability to take that action. But there's always things holding people back. And there's this fear, there's these questions, or these what if statements. So let's start there. Why did you decide it's time, I'm doing this, and let's do it?
I love this question. And so nothing happens overnight. Just like we know, success does not come overnight. And it's been a 10-year journey and this is the third time that I actually, as I like to say, I jumped off the cliff, right? And said, here I go, I'm going to fly. So, it falls down to consistency. So, I came into the mortgage industry sort of not giving up, but surrendering to my last failure of, I want to go start my business. I'm going to focus on women speakers and coaches, and, I'm going to help them build their brand. But not everything happens in the time that we want things to happen. There is a lot of growth that we might not be aware of that's needed to be able to step into those shoes and that success that we've been called to. But there's some training that has to happen. And there's a lot of blind spots that we are not, right? So with that said, how did I decide for the third time
something
around?
must have happened.
Yes.
Like there's definitely something that happened.
Yes, absolutely. So I've had been in the mortgage industry for 5.5 years. Had a great opportunity to get to, just see what the mortgage industry was about, the opportunity of growth and financial freedom for both ends, the consumer and those who are working in it. And COVID hit last year. And I had already been thinking about, the possibility for maybe 2 years, 3 years after being in the industry, which was 2 years ago, of going on my own, right? I saw the need of branding and really pushing the mortgage industry to the next level. I saw how behind and outdated in so many different things we were, which is understood. It's a financial industry, so right. So there's a lot of precautions that that need to be just acknowledged. So last year, COVID hit, and I was working with Paramount Residential Mortgage. I had a great position. I was on a leadership executive role, but I saw the opportunity. I saw the need. I saw that this was the time where this industry either transitioned or transitioned. Like right. There was no other way about it, And so did I have everything together? No, not at all. Did I have savings of like, oh, I'm just going to go and jump, and you know what? I have savings, so I'll be fine. If it works, it works. No, not at all. But it was my consistency throughout the years, continuing to do what I knew, even if I was in a different space, like I was in the mortgage, right? It was a completely different space, but I implemented my skills. I implemented what I knew. And then I was also open-minded to learn and to grow more. But honestly, it's just hard to pinpoint, but it was that consistency of just doing what I knew to do, and then seeing the opportunity, and then not giving the time to the what ifs. Yep. What if I fail again? What if this happens? Well, what if I don't? And what if I don't fail? And then I sit here the rest of my life. And like my mission, my mission is to lower the number of women who get to the end of their lives and regret the things that they didn't do because they didn't have sisterhood, because they didn't have that courage, because they didn't have that leadership of other women around them. And so I think that's my blessing and my curse at the same time. I'm just a jumper. I can't sit around the rest of my life.
I think I always use the word that I'm a builder. And I think you're a builder too. I think you're someone that likes to jump in, take control, and act. And we are, and I'm not going to use the word bored, but you know what I mean. Like, we like the next challenge. Like, we like to jump into that next challenge to say, let's do this. And that's part of your leadership. That's part of your ability to see opportunity and, let's use that word, vision, be able to see the vision of what you can build. And you're correct. People that have that can't be put in a box and say, okay, even if it's the greatest box, that box could be the most beautiful box and everything could be rosy. It doesn't matter. It's not a bad box. The box is great. But We need to pop out of that box, and we need to always challenge ourselves, because we know there's a lot of work to do in the world.
Yeah.
And you have identified that you want to focus in on the women, which is very a passion of mine, of course, too. We know that there's so much we can do, and therefore we can't stay in our box, even if the box is beautiful.
Yes, you got it. That you hit right on the point. It doesn't matter how gorgeous that box is. I'm super grateful for the box.
Yes,
but I can't fit in it.
that's right. The boxes, and that's confusing to some, because some people are like, "But you have the most beautiful box. Why can't you stay in there?"
Well, it's funny
because
I
there's
just
more.
posted last night on my Facebook page. It said something about, get out of the box, because
Yep.
nothing great ever happens in the box.
That's right.
Nothing great is created in the box.
There you go. I didn't even know that, Mitch, but that lined up perfectly.
Yep, that's funny that you guys brought that up.
Yeah.
So what is it that you would suggest to people that are in the box, thinking about making the jump or burning the boats, or however you want to say it? What would you suggest to them to make it happen for them?
Wow, that's yeah. I mean, I get the emotion that the part that the emotions play. So first of all, it's really important that you are emotionally okay with the outcome, knowing that the outcome will not determine your value. That's number one. Because if your
That's
value
good.
is being based on that outcome, you might fail, and that's not true. Your value does not, the outcome of that does not determine how valuable or how powerful or how suitable you are for that move, right? And so that's number one, because that can destroy us.
Well, it's like this. Like you're saying, if it's like jumping off the cliff with a parachute. If you may not fly, but you're okay if you land and you have a parachute.
Yes.
But if
Yes.
you jump off the cliff thinking, if this fails, it's over for me,
I'm done.
failure, and you don't have a parachute to protect you, then it is going to be a crash and burn.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be, and I say it by example, because it's not, being like Laura was saying, where we have where we want to build, we want to do greater things. I would say that just, there's many times where I failed, and I've learned that they're not failures, they're experiences, they're training. I need that so that I can learn how to do the next thing. Right. And so that's having the right mindset. That's number one. Number two, again, success does not happen overnight. So nothing's going to come easy. And there are going to be challenges. And we just have to remind ourselves, there's going to be challenges whether we stay where we're at or we go out. So what challenges are we wanting to deal with? Right. And so having that clarity, I think that, this whole thing boils down to having the right mindset, to understanding your value, to understanding your capability, and then knowing that you cannot control the outcome, right? Now, as long as we're consistent, we put our best foot forward every day. We do our due diligence where it needs to get done. We live and we walk our business every day by those core values, by that example, right? Because if we want, that will determine who we attract, right? And so if we're not living and breathing those, then we're definitely not going to be attracting our right target audience, right? And so what we say, what we do, it's what comes back. And so that's crucial. And that's all really is coming to mind as you guys are asking me this question, because I know how crucial this could be emotionally. When you're taking that step. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail right on the head, is that if you go into it thinking that outcome will determine who you are, it might not be the right thing to do at that moment. So I think you're right. I think emotionally and from your mindset perspective, you have to be in that right moment of realizing that the outcome does not determine you.
Yeah, you got to
So that's
prepared
great.
to fail. You
Yeah,
got to be prepared to fail, but not let the failure
define
ruin
you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. All right. So Anna Maria, I do want to jump into brand strategy. Okay. So
Okay.
let's jump a little into your expertise, because it's such a great topic and so important. And listen, who would have known, especially in the mortgage industry? I mean, years ago, we were the worst, meaning our industry, in terms of building a brand. And, we mainly went out speaking about rates and programs and speaking a language that consumers had no idea what we were saying. And we were not very good at this, right? Maybe there were some large companies that were good at it, but not most of us. And then over time, you are starting to see more people embracing, being their authentic self and getting away from speaking this mortgage lingo and real estate lingo and becoming real. But I guess the first question is, where did you realize the power of building a brand? So that's first. And then secondly, after that is, how does that play into mortgage and real estate, right? So how did you take that value and then where did you see it apply to see how that can really help all of our businesses?
Absolutely. So, it all started when I was looking to build my own business and brand. So I went to school for nothing to do with mortgage, for fashion merchandising. And so anyhow, at the time when I graduated, like I said, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to help women. I wanted to work with them, help them from the inside out and build their own personal brand and so forth. So as I was building my own brand, learning how to do, I was paying coaches left and right, business coach for this, the coach for that. So anyhow, I paid so much coaches that I learned everything about branding and, and building awareness and marketing and so forth. So when I came into the mortgage industry, I was specifically hired to brand a team.
Okay.
So I don't know if many have heard or maybe not, but it's a local Florida team, the Mortgage Chicks. And so I came into the industry to brand them. And my goal, so as a matter of fact, let me take this back a little bit. So they had just started working with Paramount, PRMG. And at the time, PRMG did not allow anybody to have a brand, outside, like under the umbrella PRMG. And so I remember Rocio Portela, she's the owner of this brand. Her and her husband, they moved and they said, well, if you don't let me brand, then I'm leaving. And so I don't know
So
what
what year was that?
this is 2016.
Okay, because it's very interesting, because during that time, that was the consensus of most companies.
Yeah.
Is no, you cannot have your own branding for your own teams. You have to be under corporate. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah. So anyhow, so she's like, well, either you let me brand or I'm leaving. And so anyhow, they let us brand. So I had the opportunity to brand the first team that, this big lender allowed to have. And so that was an amazing experience. We started with having a Facebook live show. We had a YouTube channel, everywhere. Everything we did was the Mortgage Chicks at PRMG. And so I came from, from a background of, you have to brand yourself. You have to do videos. You have to, you have to have a show. You need to be able to connect with people. So, and I came to Facebook when I never had MySpace. Actually, I think I had MySpace for like a year or so. And so I was like one of the first ones on Facebook, and my boyfriend at the time, he is a musician. And so I knew everything about you, everything you got to do. Like, you have to be on Facebook. You have to be on all these social media platforms. And so, and then image, the way the things that you shared and how it came across. And so it was just part of me. It was part of my walk. It was part of, also what I learned in fashion school. What I learned while I was paying for coaches. I'm telling you, I think I spent maybe $30,000 in coaches that year.
Wow.
It was, I would never tell anybody to do that. But hey, you know what? And I love, because you were talking about it. a little bit earlier. But, with that said, that's how I saw the opportunity in the mortgage industry. I was like, oh my gosh, it's 20.
Yeah, and you hit it at such a pivotal time, because like I said, prior to that, we were kind of the stuffy bankers, right?
Yes.
Even though we weren't bankers, we were like stuffy bankers, because everyone gets very nervous about social media on the banking side, because we're like, compliance.
Yeah.
God forbid if someone says something wrong. God forbid if this is a Facebook Live and someone throws something out there and then it's out of compliance.
Yeah.
That is a concern. That
Which was
absolutely is a concern. But
100%.
you have to brand your team. You have to brand yourself. You have to be tied in, because, again, now here's the second question of, where's the value? What have you seen in terms of value?
Absolutely. And we'll going into the value is that this is what we need to understand. We need to think. We can't just think in this, financial box. Like it's all valid, right? Compliance, that's all valid.
Yeah.
But you are an individual no matter what. You are a person, you're a person who attracts other people. You're a person who has friends. You're a person who has its own personality. You are a person that no matter what you do for a living, you're still that person, right? And so here's where the value is. Social media allows us to truly connect 10 times more than we would one-on-one, because it gives us the opportunity not to show off, not to say, hey, look at me, I'm so cool, I'm so special, and so this. It's more about, hey, how can I serve you? I loved this, and here, and oh my gosh, I went here and I would love for you to also try it out because it did this, and for me. So it's the same way we would make friends in person or connect with people. It's not about, I'm so cool and so special. It's about together. It's about, this is my personality. This is what I like. And if you like it too, let's talk about it. So that is the power of social media. Back in the days when we didn't have social media, it was really expensive to do ads and, and marketing. Only big companies were able to do this. We would have never in our mind as individuals, executives or individual entrepreneurs, or independent contract, whatever we want to call ourselves, we would need a huge budget to be able to do that. And so that's, and so having social media, oh my gosh, that is just the opportunity to be able to do what big companies would do in the past, to connect. Because if we think about, Apple, if we think about Target, if we think about these brands, they're speaking to their target audience and they're just connecting with them. They're not selling them all they're just like, hey, think big, right? Apple, think big. And all the executives and all the techie people is like, oh, I want to be cool. I want to think big, right? So it is that kind of people, and it's that emotion. So branding is crucial. And I actually just did a video about the difference between corporate branding versus personal branding. And corporate branding, again, it's about the culture of the corporation. It's about their beliefs. It's about, their products, what they have, the outcomes and testimonials. That's corporate branding. But that's one. But what about you as a person, as an individual, what you believe in, your gratitude towards things or your thought process of something? It's two completely different things, because at the end of the day too, if we think about this, people are always going to remember your name. They might not remember, the big umbrella over, but they'll remember you because how you made them feel, because of the experience that they had with you. And that's all we're doing through branding, is just closing that gap, between being able to get over those first. What branding does really, it at the beginning, what really does is it helps the individual overcome the first two obstacles. Do I like this person? Can I trust them? Right. And you have a branding that answers those two questions. When people call you, it's not a matter of, let me see if this person qualifies. It's a matter, hey, when can you help me? I would love to work with you, right? And so that's the difference.
Well, I tell you, people got to understand if you're a loan officer, whatever, real estate agent, that most likely you're not going to be with the same company your whole career. So, spending all your time and money branding, the umbrella, like you said, it just doesn't make sense to you, because if you go somewhere else, you got to start all over. So, what would you suggest the first step people need to make when they want to start personal branding themselves? Is it a logo? Is it, what is it that you suggest is the very first step people take?
The first thing to do is to really identify your target audience, to identify your why, to identify the likes and dislikes of your target audience, and to identify what you do best. Before we even think of a logo, it's that first strategy, because based on that strategy, then you can now create, where's your logo going? Where's, your call to action? What are, how am I going to speak to my audience? Because see, the way I speak to a 30-year-old audience who are still, let's say, and who live in an urban environment versus 30-year-old audience who are more of, and I don't even know if I'm making good comparisons, but like the Hamptons kind of like, you speak to them completely different. They might be the same age, but the way I communicate with one is different. And so that also plays with my logo, the look, feel, my core values, everything. So number one would be really understanding your unique selling proposition. Not your unique selling, your unique value proposition. That would be number one. What makes you different, and I know it's not answering the phones. It's not, it's really, like I just had a call with a client, and she's a loan officer, and she used to work with very high-end portfolio clients. And so her thing is all about, because she's seen the numbers that she's seen throughout the years, she realized that it's all about mindset. And so she specifically, her unique value proposition is how to overcome your money mindset, right? And so that's unique to her. So knowing that, now we know her audience, because her people are also second time buyers who believe that maybe they can buy that second, won't give them, or because they need to have cash and they can't get another loan. And so it's all these blockages. And so for her specifically, like, she is the loan officer who focuses on expanding your money mindset. Right. So with that said, now we know the audience. Now we know what kind of logos sort of go for. Now, knowing that then gives us the ability to continue to create and envision the rest.
Yeah, I think that's what I kind of did with Build Your Empire was, I wanted to go, towards helping mortgage and real estate. And then I kind of built the logo around that. So
yeah,
that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be, does everyone have something unique to create a brand around? Do you believe?
Absolutely. I believe so. Absolutely. It's a matter of allowing ourselves. And this is, it's funny. Every client, when we first get on the phone, it's like, okay, we're going to have a 1 hour strategy, because we need to identify everything. I need to identify what you like, what you don't like. I need you also to identify these things so that we can have that aha moment. So absolutely. Everybody has something that makes them unique and differentiates them. It's a matter of identifying what that is.
Yeah, I love that, because that exercise of taking them through that will help them, like you said, have that aha moment where all of a sudden they're like, I've always been going in that direction. I just didn't perfect it down to having it become my brand. So I think that's great. And the money mindset is a great example of that, because that really is something specific for that individual. Now, that probably wouldn't work if you were in another market, or if you were another type of specialty, but that's why you need to go through the exercise.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Anna Maria, how do people connect with you? How do they learn more? And what services do you offer to people out there? Because I want to be very clear as to what you do offer our community.
Absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity to share more. So you guys can definitely visit www.Ana Maria Sanin, which is ANA Maria, the Latino way, Ana Maria Sanin, SANIN.com. That's my website. You guys can definitely learn a little bit more about everything about myself and the people that I work with, which is our mortgage industry. Number two, you guys can find me on IG, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Again, is The Confident Closers. You can Google The Confident Closers. You can Google Ana Maria Sanin, and everything will pop up. And what I offer is two things. We offer launching your personal brand, which is identifying your brand and bringing it to life. Okay, that includes all your brand look and feel, website, message, call to action, all that good stuff. And then like I like to say, one thing is identifying that baby, bringing it to life, and now is growing it, right? So the number two thing we do is now telling your brand story. I tell everybody, if you're going to bring this baby to life, you better spend time too growing it, because otherwise it's a waste of time and money. So it's crucial. So we offer brand storytelling, which is your social media, YouTube channel building, podcast, newsletter, all that good stuff. And that's it. So I'm passionate. And this is the other thing. I have a niche, and I want you guys to take this, right? Because and this is just a thought that just came to mind, but I specifically focus on mortgage and real estate. And so that way I'm not competing with anybody, right? There's tons of us out there who are doing branding and marketing and so forth. And so that same thing I want for you, find your niche, and you will not be competing with anybody else. So with that said, that is what we do. That's how you can contact me, and my team and I would love to get to know you. I always say, it's crucial to get to know each other and to like each other before, we get to work together. So
awesome. Great stuff.
Well, thank you very much. We definitely appreciate you joining us today, and definitely think the audience will get some great information out of this, and hopefully they'll reach out to you if they have any more questions.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Feel free to reach out. And you guys, this is awesome. I love what you guys are doing. This is a great podcast. The Leadership Mastermind, it's amazing. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for the opportunity of having me here. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be with you.
Well, thank you so much. You are amazing. For everyone out there, check her out. Go through the exercise, because we all need to know what our uniqueness is, creating that brand and being able to share it with all of our audience and clients. Thank you so much for joining us, Ana Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.